Good morning, everybody. It is Martin, the sales strategist, coming to you live again from the Melbourne studios, and winter's on the way. 8 degrees out there in Melbourne this morning. She's getting chilly. But that is wonderful. It means winter's in the air and we're getting there. Now, I wanted to talk to you today and go a bit more in depth in regards to the sales process. A couple of weeks ago, I came on and did a short 10 to 12 minute on the importance of getting your induction process for new sales talent right. And currently, I'm working with a number of small to medium-sized enterprises who are scaling their business, which is awesome. Go small to medium-sized business, and onboarding new sales talent. And I'm getting more and more questions every day via the contacts that I have, social media, and companies reaching out, going, "Hey, look, Marty, we're looking to employ new sales talent, not 100% sure on what to do or where we should be going." So that's what I want to talk to you about today. And it's fantastic that so many small to medium-sized businesses are looking to scale at the moment. So I'm just going to share my screen with everybody. So employing sales talent. We'll just go back a step. Here we go. So the first questions that I really think that should be answered or asked in the process is why, how, and who. So why are you employing new sales talent? And by why, I mean, are you employing sales talent because it's a job no one else wants to do? Or are you employing sales talent because you have a reason to employ sales talent? You've scaled to a point where it's actually required. So ask the question, why? How are you going to employ new sales talent? Is new sales talent going to be inducted to you by a recruitment agency? Or is recruitment going to be done by by yourself, going on to some of the job sites that are out there? So how are you going to do it? And who are you trying to attract? Are you trying to attract a professional, a sales professional? Are you trying to attract a sales cadet? And having answers to those questions are going to affect what comes next. And what comes next would be things like the ad, the position description, the KPIs. And even if you're not putting the ad in yourself, you're not doing it yourself, I would still form the ad. Because when you're doing an ad for employment and you look at it through your eyes, you're thinking, hey, look, is this a job that I would apply for? Is this a job that I really want? Get very, very clear also on your position description. So many companies that I see out there don't actually have a position description before they go to market. And this is important because it's getting your mind clear on who it actually is and what sales talent that you are actually wanting to employ. Really, really important. And I was talking with a customer the other day who gave me the position description, and it went something like this: sales and administrative duties. Yeah, that's not a position description. Get very detailed. Cold outbound calls, receiving inbound calls, daily prospecting, responding to social media, everything that is part of the sales role, you put in a position description. Why? Because then down the track, if the salesperson says something like, hey, look, I didn't know I had to do that. Well, actually, Coco, you did. Here it is. It's in the position description. No excuses. So have everything in there. And then also have clear and measurable KPIs. Now, this is really important. And to start with, a couple of KPIs are going to be, hey, look, get through the first 90 days, pass your 90-day induction, and start or modify the sales training manual that will be in place, which I talk to a lot of the businesses that I work with about. And when you're setting KPIs, yes, you need a financial one for salespeople, sure, but mostly focus on the mission, not the money. I say that again, focus on the mission, not the money. Why? Because sales is all about actions. So what actions can you take today that's going to naturally have the money fall out at the other end? So let's say your target is $1 million. To do that, you want to onboard 5 or 6 $250,000 customers. So if you do that, the money's going to come. But primarily today, I want to talk to you about the interview process. And look, it's fair to say that salesmen know how to sell. And when you are employing sales talent, when you're getting people on board, the one thing that they can do is sell themselves, and sell themselves very well. So if you're only having one interview process or perhaps two, it's going to get very confusing, because sales guys are all going to come across, and girls are going to come across pretty well. So what do I like to do? I like to put them in the hot seat. I like to put them under pressure. I like to see how they're going to respond when they get asked questions and are asked to do things that aren't usual, because selling is a high pressure situation. There's high stakes. So how do we do that? Well, there's 4 steps, in my view, in regards to where we can go with analyzing and figuring out who the new talent and where they are. Number 1 is the application process. Number 2 is a Zoom connect. Number 3 is an in-person interview. And number 4 is a final interview. Just like a sales process, the selection process is a series of logical, well thought out next steps. And remember, you, the business, are the prize. They are not. And that's really important, because what happens in a lot of job interviews is the interviewee sits down and then the business does all the talking, trying to sell themselves to the potential person that's going to work for them. Wrong way, go back, other way. They need to be selling themselves to you. They're in sales after all. So how does this start and what does it look like? So to start with, when I'm getting the original applications come through, I'm looking for an application that stands out. Maybe it's a little bit different. Maybe there's some graphics on it. Something that's going to stand the application out from anything else that I'm seeing. It's going to be short and punchy. It's not going to be a long diatribe of everything that I've done, because that's not what sales is about. Sales is about creating intrigue. So you want to try and find someone who has a short, punchy, intriguing position application, preferably with a cover letter that is relevant. Hopefully, the relevant cover letter will talk about your business. We'll talk about you. So selection process number 1 is in the application. Does it stand out? Is it short and punchy? Does it have a cover letter? And is it relevant? If it passes that test, they can come through to round number 2. Now, round number 2, what's next? Absolutely. What's next? I'm pleased I asked that question. What's next is a short 10-minute Zoom call. Now, why am I doing Zoom calls? Well, Zoom is where sales is right now. And every salesperson should have had to deal with Zoom calls and Zoom meetings for the past 12 months. If they haven't, swipe left on that. Any salesperson that's worth his salt should be great at Zoom calls by now. And I'm looking for a number of things in a Zoom call. I'm looking for, and I'm starting off the meeting by saying to them, hey, look, potential interviewee, tell me what you know about us. Because if they're a salesperson, they would have done some research, and they'll be able to tell you some things about your business as a minimum expectation. If they just turn up and they don't know anything about you and they've done no research, guess what? They're going to do no research on your potential clients at the other end. Swipe left on that. Then I'm looking for Zoom skills. Do they present well? What does their background look like? Do they have a good microphone? Are they easy to hear? How are they engaging? Are they using body language? But are they using body language? Are they sitting or are they standing? All these things go into a good Zoom presentation and a good Zoom sales call. If they're not dressed right, if they've got stuff going on in the background, if they don't know how to pitch themselves in a meeting to you where they're selling themselves, chances are they're not going to be able to sell on Zoom by you. And this is the way of the future. So What's next? I hear you say after the Zoom presentation. Well, what's next is a live in-person interview. And this will run for 30 to 45 minutes. And the things that I'm looking for is culture and values. Are they going to be a good culture fit? Do they have good values? So the questions that I'm going to be asking are things such as, hey, look, what are your highest values? How do you exhibit those values? How do you live those values in your life? Tell me about what's important to you about culture. Some of these questions, they might not have been asked before. We're trying to find an intrinsically motivated salesperson, someone that is not motivated by the money. So it's all about asking questions around that. And if they have been in a sporting team or they're a high performer in that level, it's usually a good start. It doesn't have to be sport, though. It could be a number of hobbies or other things where they are part of a team. They're part of something greater than themselves, because that is a fair indicator that perhaps they have some degree of intrinsic motivation. But I also ask questions such as, so tell me about your biggest sales win. And if they start telling me about the biggest sale, which was the most money and how they made a lot of money, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm about the challenge, what it took to get that order over the line, to get that deal and finalize it. That's the sort of things that I am looking for. Then I asked the $20 million question, which Dr. John Demartini does. Hey, look, if you had $20 million today and you never had to work again, but you still had to do something, what would it be? And you're going to get a number of people give you all sorts of answers. I had one of my most successful employees said, I want to be a footy coach. Great. So I could then use that to leverage in the business where you want to coach people. Great. So let's build the business to a point where you can coach other people from a sales perspective. And I ask people, what is your sales process? How do you go about doing things? So put them under pressure. Ask them questions that perhaps they don't expect. Once they pass that step, what's next? Well, now is when they get to meet the managing director or the owner of the business. If that's you, then that's fair enough. But then I step it up a bit. So the meeting before, so my short list, which will be 2 or 3 max, I'll be saying to them, hey, look, when you come in next time, you're giving me a 5-minute pitch, and give them all the same thing to pitch you on. It could be a computer, could be a laptop, could be one of your products, but choose a product, and the final interviewees have to pitch that product to you. 5 minutes, no more, no less. See how they go. Put them under pressure. Ask questions. Ask them, do you think you're going to be a good fit for the business? And explain to me why you think that. And then evaluate the questions that are coming back to you through all these processes, because selling is all about the questions that are being asked. The quality of questions that they can draw from you are also very important in the hiring process. And I'd also be curious as to find out what their negotiation skills are like, particularly when they start talking about remuneration and money. If they're trying to talk you up, or they're starting to say, hey, look, you know, I'm the prize here. I can't work for that amount of money. Just see how that fits. And if you follow this strategy all the way to the end, the next step is the onboarding phase. So in regards to sales talent, as I said earlier, it's great that there's so many people looking to onboard sales talent at the moment. And hopefully this has given you a logical series of next steps, which will give you at least some further information, some further skills on how to effectively select and engage with potential new sales talent. If you have any other questions, DM me, message me, email me. I'm happy to answer. But in the meantime, until next week, from my sales heart to yours, have a great week.